everyone. Okay, thank you, Farahin. Okay, what about the rest? Hi, Mei-Ling. Kamarina. Mei-Ling, are you in Malaysia? No?
No, I'm currently in China.
In China, okay. All right, Mei-Ling in China also can switch on her camera. What about the rest? Okay, so I've already assigned you your assignment groups. Okay, please remember that, okay, you have to start with your assignment. Also, instead of having your quiz this week, we will have it next week, but not during class time. Okay, class time is on Monday. So we will have the quiz on Wednesday. All right, since the quiz will be conducted online, okay, you are not going to have a class. I'm just going to share you the link to the quiz, but you have to do it at the designated time. Since the class will start at 12:50, I would probably allow you to start doing the quiz from 1 to 1:20, around that. Okay? So the quiz will have 15 MCQ questions, very short. All right, and it will only cover until the chapter today, which is normative theory. So we have covered introduction, and we have covered the first trend, okay, propaganda, okay, and also we're going to finish normative theory today. All right. Okay, so we're going to continue from where we left off last week. I think we was still talking about normative theory. Okay. All right, come on, where's the rest? Okay, I can only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 faces. Thank you, UD. All right, come on. Okay, Natalia, who else? Where are the rest of you? Come on, right? We're supposed to take attendance. I don't see your face. How am I supposed to take your attendance? Okay.
I'm sorry, madam, my camera doesn't work.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Naufal and Aisha. Okay. So if you really cannot switch on, please inform. All right.
Madam, my camera is not working.
So many of you. Okay, but at least please inform. All right. Thank you, Faradiba. Okay. So I will start the class. I'm going to share the tab from the classroom. Okay, Siti Nur Alpha. All right, I take note. So can you see the slides?
Yes, madam.
Okay, good. Because I cannot use the slides on my computers, so I will be sharing from Google Classroom, so you can access yours as well. Okay. Oh, it's raining. Where is it? Where is that, Najwa? Where is it raining? Okay.
In Indonesia, madam, in Depok.
In where?
In Depok, Indonesia.
Indonesia. Wow, so lucky you. It's so hot here in Malaysia at the moment. All right. Okay, so I think the other day we stopped somewhere here, Marketplace of Ideas, right? Is this right or wrong? Did we stop in Marketplace of Ideas?
Yes.
All right, so I hope, okay, you can remember what we mean by normative theory. Okay, Mubarak. So what is normative theory? All right, we've already said, all right, in the first class, okay, there are hundreds and thousands of theories in social science. So it's hard for us to memorize all or to understand, okay? So the best way is to look at these theories under its categories. All right, so you have so many categories of theories, okay, we've already discussed, okay, historically we have what we call as the first trend, okay? So the first trend is this group of theories that thinks media is very powerful. And an example of this theory is propaganda. All right. And we also started to discuss another group of theory, okay, which we call the normative theory. So normative theory is a little bit different from the rest of the categories because it is a very macro theory. All right. Okay, hi Nima, let me see, can I see you? All right. I cannot see you, Hainima. All right. Okay, never mind. At least I know you're there. Okay. So where was I? We're talking about normative. Okay, so it's different in the sense it is macro. Macro means what? Okay, it looks at the big picture. Okay, so normative theory is the type of theory that tries to explain, okay, or tries to propose the ideal or the best way of managing or administrating a media in a particular country or a particular society. Can you follow? All right, so I have informed you about libertarian theory. Okay, so what is libertarian theory? Is the kind of theory that is mostly adopted by the Western countries. All right, so I have mentioned that libertarian is usually related to the American media in the early years. All right. So why did the Americans, adopt this theory? Because this is part of their, what we call it, amendments. Remember, we talked about their first amendment. What is the first amendment of the United States of America? What is their first amendment? Who can remember?
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech, right? Freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Okay. So why do they have this as their first principle? Because their history, they have been colonized. So when they were under the British colonization, there was no freedom. So they believe in a society, okay, it does not just mean American society, any society, if you control the society, right, if you don't let the people express themselves, what will happen to that society? They will always be underdeveloped. Because the people are not allowed to think, to discuss, and to propose ideas. Can you follow? So that's why they believe in libertarian, because they believe in self-writing principle, where they believe that individuals, each one of us, we always will choose the best. This is their belief. All right? So under libertarian theories, okay, there are many ways. Okay, one of the theory is a marketplace of idea. Okay, so marketplace is when they propose that we must manage the media just like we manage a market. Okay, we've discussed this, right? I think. Okay, where information is just like product in the market. We must allow people to have all the choices, all the options they want. Okay, so that people will make the best choices. Can you follow? Hold on, yeah. I need to scream at my son so that he keeps quiet. Hold on, yeah. Okay. All right, back. Sorry about those noise at the back, yeah? Okay, if they make more noise, I will lock them in their rooms. Okay. So where were we? Okay, so we talked about this, all right? Okay, marketplace of ideas, all right? Now, so what is the good thing about libertarian theory or marketplace of ideas? Okay, they believe, okay, this theory is good because it allows journalists or media practitioners to be professional. Okay, what do we mean by professional? That means their profession, okay, their job is respected. Okay, for example, okay, this theory believes, okay, fourth estate is also a form of theory under libertarian. Okay, that the media should serve as an independent social institution that ensures that other institutions serve the public. All right. So what does it mean? Okay, do you know that in a democratic country, there's always three estates? Okay, I think there's the judicial, the what we call it, the administrative, and there's another one, three. Okay, one is where the elected government, the other one is the police, and the other one is the army. All right. So this, okay, legislative, three. Okay, democratic country, like in Malaysia, in Indonesia, if you read up, okay, your country have three estates. So these are parts of the governments that should serve the public. So deal people who believe in libertarian, they say the media is so important that the media should become the fourth estate. Because the media should be what? Should be taking care of the government to make sure that the government does their job. That the media should be, what we call it, surveilling the police and the armies so that the police and the armies do their job. Okay, so they hold the media in a very high regard, that they say the media should be the fourth estate. Can you follow? All right, this is the Western ideal. Remember, okay, the word is ideal. They believe this is the best thing that will happen. Okay, this is normative theory. Okay, so one of the results, okay, in the US, they have what we call as muckrakers. Okay, journalists sometimes act as muckrakers because they can crusade. Okay, crusading journalists who typically challenge the powers on behalf of those less so. All right, so there has been a lot of examples of where, okay, American journalists, for example, have broken up stories that has affected the government, politicians, celebrities, rich people. Can you follow what I'm saying? Because their journalists have so much freedom. Okay, can you imagine all the ways they used to write about President Trump? Okay, they do not filter what they write about the president, even though it's their president. Can you imagine writing all of that about your president in China, for example? Can your journalists criticize, okay, your president? I don't think so. Just the same as in Malaysia. Yes, we can criticize a little bit, but cannot a lot. You get what I'm saying or not? All right, if a journalist criticize, okay, even in Indonesia, I think it would be the same. Something will happen to that journalist. Okay, because we do not believe in libertarianism. Can you follow? So this is the positive aspects of libertarianism. Muckrakers. Can you follow or not? All right, where the yes, okay, where the journalists have the ability to break stories, to criticize, to comment. As a result, what? Okay, in a good way, okay, it helps the people, it helps the citizens, because the journalist is working for our benefit, not to maintain the power of the rich and the politicians. Can you follow? Okay, so this is the ideal situation. Okay, but all right, can you imagine a world, okay, where the media has no laws at all? Okay, this is what libertarian promise, right? No law at all. Would it be good or bad? Okay, where the media organization is given all the freedom, even the journalist is given all the freedom. Now, if journalist is given all the freedom, if he has good intention, he will write good things. He will help the citizens, right? What if the journalists have bad intentions? Or if the journalist is biased or the journalist is racist? Okay, and there are no laws to guide this journalist. It could lead to even bad things, isn't it? All right. So the Americans, okay, and most of the Western countries have learned this. In the 50s and 60s, most of them used to practice libertarianism. No rules at all. Okay, but what they got was that, yes, okay, freedom, but they also got, okay, what we call it, a lot of negative feedbacks. Negative feedback such as what? For example, okay, hold on, yeah. Their entertainment media in the US, all right, there is no limit. Okay, and when it led to no limit, okay, the paparazzis, for example, they started to follow the celebrities. You know, right? The paparazzi, they follow the celebrities, they take photos. There is no rules, okay, that to stop the paparazzis. You know what happened to Princess Diana? You know who's Princess Diana? Okay.
Yes, madam.
Yes, right. Okay, she used to be a very famous princess from the UK. Okay, the mother of Prince William, mother-in-law of Kate Middleton. Okay, she was an example of how, okay, media paparazzis were able to do whatever they want. Okay, until she met with an accident. Okay, because the paparazzi was chasing her car. Okay, why was this possible? Because there's no law to stop the paparazzis. Can you get it? No law. Even until now, they cannot indict anyone for her death because there's no rules that say that the paparazzi were doing anything wrong. Okay, so this is again, okay, the problem with too much freedom. Okay, when you give everybody's freedom, whose freedom is more important? Can you get what I'm saying or not? All right, in the case of Princess Diana, she has the right for privacy, but the paparazzi has the right to chase for news. So who do you defend? Because everybody has the freedom. Can you follow? All right, okay. And then they also notice because the media is always profit making. So the media will always benefit or gravitate towards news or content that will give them more money. Okay. And this is why then, all right, when you see a lot of the Western media, they are all about commercialism, all about by selling stuff, show you the life of, okay, that being happy is all about materials. So this is the danger when you give too much freedom. So realizing this, okay, the Western theories, they started to be more conservative in the sense they say, okay lah, libertarian cannot. It cannot work. So we must adopt some kind of regulation. So they introduced another normative theory called social responsibility theory of the press. Okay. So what is the social responsibility of the press? Okay, so this theory still adopts, okay, it is still part of libertarianism. It still believes in individual freedom. But, right, they believe there should also be some form of guidelines. Okay, like what, all right? For example, okay, when we talk about libertarian, total freedom, no law and regulations. Okay, but under social responsibility theory, okay, they say it is a normative theory that substitutes media industry and public responsibility for total media freedom on the one hand and for external control on the other hand. So what does it mean here? Okay, it says, okay, fine. All right, we do not want media laws. We do not want government to control media, because if somebody starts to control the media, then the media will no longer be free and the media will be biased towards that person in control, right? Okay, maybe the government. So this theory says, okay, instead of asking the government or the elites to control the media themselves must be responsible. Okay, and that the public also must be responsible. Okay, how do you make sure media becomes responsible? So the media must create their own regulations, for example. You know, media or any companies have their codes of conducts. All right, have you heard, right? Codes of conducts, okay, or their own ethics. So for example, Netflix, okay, probably the American government do not have law against them. But Netflix must have established, if you go to their website, I'm sure there will be their own ethical guides, their own codes of conducts. Can you get what I'm saying or not? So Netflix will establish by themselves by saying, for example, okay, Netflix will not distribute content that is racist in nature. Can you follow so far? There is no law telling Netflix that there are contents that can or cannot be shown, but Netflix themselves must have their own codes of conduct. Can you follow or not? Okay. Now, why would an organization like Netflix, okay, go to all the troubles to create a rules for themselves or guide for themselves? Because they still have to answer to the public. In what sense? Okay, we must understand, all right, that this ideal, okay, situation is more suitable in the Western world because they have strong citizen groups. Okay, what do we mean by this? Just now I say, right, the media company must have their own ethics. Okay, so who has to be strong? Media industry. But at the same time, citizen groups must play their role. Publics like us. When you watch something and you feel it is wrong, what do? You must take action. Can you get what I'm saying? So in the US, they have a lot of citizen groups, citizen watch groups. Okay, so if I am not happy with the way, for example, Netflix is portraying the images of Muslims, I will complain to certain citizen groups, and those citizen groups will pressure Netflix. Can you see how they work or not? Is that clear? So there is no government or laws that control these organizations, but the organizations must be responsible and the public must be responsible. Can you see so far or not what I'm trying to say? Okay, I give you an example, okay, not long time ago, all right. Do you know who's Janet Jackson? Have you heard of Janet Jackson? You know Michael Jackson or not?
Yes, madam.
If you don't know Michael Jackson, I don't want to have this class anymore. All right. Michael Jackson, okay, if you don't know, please Google him up. One of the most renowned, okay, talented celebrities of all time. Okay, so Janet Jackson is his sister, also famous at one time. Okay, this was not too long ago. All right, so you know the US, right? They have the Super Bowl. Okay, the Super Bowl is these games in the US they have. It's like the biggest game. All right, and the Super Bowl is a very big media event because everybody watches the game. Okay, I think recently last year it was Shakira and J-Lo, I think. Because every time they have a Super Bowl and then they will have a concert. Okay. So what happened was at that year, in that particular year, Janet Jackson was performing. Okay. So Janet Jackson invited Justin Timberlake, okay, as her guest to perform. Okay, you know Justin Timberlake or not?
Yes.
Yes? All right.
Yes.
If you don't know Justin Timberlake, I also don't know what to say lah. Okay, that
Yes,
means
madam.
okay, I need to watch more younger celebrities. Okay. Okay, but point is, okay, so Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson are singing and dancing. Okay, and you know how it is, all right? With the Western celebrities, they like to do all this crazy stuff. And one of the act was that Justin Timberlake was supposed to rip off Janet Jackson's jacket. Okay, so he did that. He ripped off her jacket, but instead of having something to cover her up, he ripped off everything. Okay, I hope you understand, okay, my explanation just now. You don't have to imagine, ya Muaz, don't imagine what I'm trying to say, but something bad happened, you know, Lukman, don't imagine, okay, but its point is something bad happened lah. There was some wardrobe malfunction. Now you imagine, all right, this celebrity, this female singer was exposed on national TV during the Super Bowl where everybody was watching the television, even small children. Now, in this case, in the US, there's no law or rules to say that it is wrong. Can you follow? If we follow libertarian. But unfortunately, a lot of parents were not happy. So they complained to citizen groups and a lot of citizen groups made big issue out of it and they complained to the government. So when people complain, public makes a lot of this criticism, the government had to take action. Can you get what I'm saying? So the TV network, I'm not sure, was it NBC or something, was summoned. Okay? So means what here? That is an example of social responsibility. Okay? If nobody took action or nobody cared that Janet Jackson exposed herself on national TV, nothing will happen. Okay? But if the citizen group criticize and comments, okay, and not happy, and they will start to boycott NBC, NBC will have to take responsibility. Can you follow? All right. So that's why, for example, NBC should have, okay, will usually have code of conduct. For example, they will only portray proper, what we call it, event. Or any, for example, in the US, right, sexual content will only be aired after 12 a.m. Okay. So this is what we mean by social responsibility theory. Okay, it is still part of libertarianism, but it is more controlled. Okay, so the idea of social responsibility theory actually came from the Chicago School. Okay, this Chicago School is actually University of Chicago. All right, because remember, okay, in the 1940s, okay, when it talks about media, about freedom, all right, too much freedom in libertarianism. But in Chicago, okay, Chicago School is actually a sociology, school of sociology. All right, so they did a research because in that time, in the 1940s and 50s US, while the country was developing, they were also facing issues with criminal activities. All right. Okay, so they discovered a lot of these criminals are immigrants and minority groups. Okay, so if we were to take the idea of libertarian, we don't care any criminals or minority groups. If they do wrong, you go to jail. Okay, but this Chicago school, the sociologists, they did the research, and they say, there is a lot of these criminal activities because there is a lot of social issues that are not being addressed. For example, why do these immigrants or minorities, engage in criminal activities? Why do they steal? Why do they destroy public properties? It is because this group of people feel like they don't belong. Okay, for example, when they watch American movie or American TV, they only see white people. Okay, so to solve these issues, it's not just we need to take legal action. Okay, everybody must be responsible. Okay, for example, when we talk about the US at that time, the Chicago school suggested in the time of industrialization, the government should not just focus on building factories, on the economy. They also should focus on building communities. Okay, they should focus on building community centers, sports centers, where even minorities and immigrant groups can go. Can you follow so far? All right. So the Chicago school proposed the idea of pluralistic groups. You know what's pluralistic groups? Plural. We are plural. Different groups. You have Chinese, Indian, Latinos, the Arabs, the Pakistanis in the US. They are all different. Plural, where they need to be respected, but also accepted as part of America. Okay, so how does this relate to the media? The relationship is in terms of social responsibility. People cannot just be given total freedom. That people needs to be guided. Can follow or not? All right. So in Chicago school, they suggest that pluralistic groups, these minorities, these immigrants, they need to be acknowledged. They need to be considered part of the American society. So the same thing with the media also. And the media must also incorporate, immigrants, minorities in their content. Can you follow or not? If you imagine a libertarian media, right? You are a media company. All you think about is profit, right? You wouldn't care whether you have black people in your film or Latino or Chinese. You don't care as long as your film makes money. But social responsibility theory says that while you make money, you must also be responsible, to your audiences. That's why today you can see a lot of different images, right, in American film and American content. Is this true or not? All right, you see more black people as heroes. You see more Asian representation. It used to be when we talk about the Avengers, they are all white. Only one or two black. Maybe just Wakanda, one superhero, but he's not even the main character. Can you see? But now because of the push, and then of social responsibility, Marvel has created a new universe, the Eternals. Have you heard of the Eternals? I'm not sure whether they're airing it, playing it here in Malaysia, but I'm sure you're going to get to watch it some way or another. So in the new film, you notice, that the theme is more inclusive. They have an Indian face, a Chinese face, a Latino face, a white person's face. You get what I'm saying or not? So that is inclusiveness, right? Social responsibility, can understand, right? So But you must understand, social responsibility theory is just like libertarian. Okay, it is originated from libertarian theory. It's just that, okay, it puts more responsibility to the media and the audience. Okay, it doesn't agree in total freedom. Okay, because they believe that if media is responsible, audience is responsible, okay, then the government do not have to intrude. Okay, so it does allow some control of the media. Like when Janet Jackson's case. Okay, the government does not want to intrude, but when the public starts to complain, they had to take action. Okay, so they value diversity and pluralism. Okay, so this theory aids the powerless. That means this theory, instead of just focusing on profit making, all right, it asks the media to be more responsible. Okay, so it appeals to the best instincts of the media practitioners, and it is still consistent with the US legal tradition. It means that it is still consistent with the idea of freedom. Okay, but what is the weakness? Okay, it's too optimistic. Okay, like are the media really going to follow the responsibilities? Because even, okay, like I said, the media introduce their own ethics, their own code of conducts. Okay, the same thing with individuals. How responsible can the individual be if they are not bounded by laws? Okay, and it underestimates power of motivation and it legitimizes status quo. Okay, what do we mean by status quo? Okay, it means that, all right, it does not really questions the what we call it media industry. Okay, so don't worry about this term status quo. We will discuss it in more detail when we talk about critical theory. All right. Okay. So when we talk about social responsibility theory, okay, remember they have to establish their own codes of conducts. So the theory expects, okay, that media industries will set their own professional standards based on information, truth, accuracy, objectivity, and balance. Can you follow or not? Okay. So the theory also expect that the media will self-regulate. Okay, that the media will avoid whatever that might lead to crime, violence, civil disorder. Okay, that the media will be pluralist. Okay, they will incorporate all groups of people. Okay, and that the media will be accountable and that the society and the public will have the right to expect high standards. So can you see the principles is very ideal, very optimistic. There is no law, but this is what is expected. Okay, so that is why in the US, okay, or in Western traditions, they have what considered as self-censorship. Okay, because the government do not censor, so they self-censor. There is no rule what kind of news can be shared or not shared. Okay, but the media company must think, okay, if I share this news, will it cause some kind of racial tension, for example? Okay, so if they believe it's going to be problematic, they will self-censor. Okay. But of course, all right, there will always be limitations to professionalism. All right. So professionals in every field, including media and journalism, are usually reluctant to identify or censure colleagues who violate professional standards. Remember, right? There's no law. You follow your own ethical guides. So what if your friends do not follow these guides? Will you complain on them? All right. So this is the problem with professionalization. Hold on, yeah. Okay, all right. And then when we talk about professional standards, they can be abstract and ambiguous. Why? Because each company can produce their own standards and guides. Okay, Netflix will have different codes of conduct. Disney will have their own. All right, HBO will have their own. So it's very abstract. And in contrast with medicine and law, media professionalization doesn't include standards for professional training and licensing. Okay, what does it mean? Just say you are a journalist and then you did not follow a certain codes of conduct. All right, you are not legally bounded by any professional standards. Okay, just say you are an air pilot, all right, aeroplane pilot. If you break a certain standards, okay, they will have their own what we call it body, professional body that will take away your license. Not the government, not the police, all right? The professional body will take away your license. But in media, there's no such bodies, okay? And in contrast with other professions, media practitioners tend to have less independent control of the work of their work. What do we mean by this? Okay, so journalists, for example, when they write, okay, they are usually monitored by their editors, okay, by their what we call it board of managers, okay. And in the media industries, violation of professional standards rarely has immediate, directly observable consequences. This is a point that you must remember. Okay, what's the challenge to professionalization in media industries? Because whatever that we do, okay, the result is not usually immediate. If you are a doctor and you do something wrong, you immediately can see the result, right? If you give wrong medicine to someone, okay, or if you accidentally sew the wrong hand or something like that. But if the media, when you produce some kind of TV program that is immoral, for example, will you see the result tomorrow or in long term? Usually long term, right? Okay, so this is the challenge. Okay, so the social responsibility theory, because of this, what we call it, challenges, all right, okay, they try to adapt this theory to create a dual responsibility model. Okay, instead of social, just libertarian, they change to become social responsibility. Okay, but when social responsibility, they start to see that the challenge or the weakness to this theory is that you expect that the media companies will be responsible to the audiences only. Sorry, something wrong with my throat. Hold on. Sorry, okay, I think I'm so semangat. I'm speaking too loud. Maybe I need to speak softer, yeah? Okay? All right. Okay, so here, just now, social responsibility theory. It says that media must be responsible and then society must be responsible. But people criticize and say, you know, the media, they are not really responsible to the audiences. Who are they responsible to? Okay, now the logic of the media. Now, who are the customers of the media companies? Okay, are you the audiences when you watch television or when you listen to the radio? Do you think you are the customers to the radio station? Okay, who are the customers? Okay, why am I asking? Because, yes, Lukman, all right? The customers are the ones who are paying the business, right? Okay, when you sell shawls or when you sell food, who are the customers? People who pay for it. They give you money, you give them the product. But when you are listening to the radio station or when you are watching TV, do you pay the radio station? No. Netflix, of course, you pay Netflix, but you pay very little, but you get a lot of content. So it doesn't work that way. So who gives media industry money? Advertisers. You know who advertisers are, right? People that sell product in the media. They pay the media a lot of money. Okay? So, for example, okay, when we talk about cosmetics, when media portray images of women, okay, especially, will they show they will show beautifully prepared, okay, makeup wearing women, isn't it, right? This is the image of they show. They will not popularize images of women not wearing makeup, who don't care about her looks. Okay, why? All right. So if we were to follow social responsibility theory, okay, we must say, oh, you must show images of real women. Okay, that woman must think about more than how she looks. But this is not what you get in the media. All media will show you celebrities looking their best. Why? Because the media must help, the advertisers must help makeup companies sell products. Can you follow the logic here? All right. So the dual responsibility model say, okay, it's not fair to just say social responsibility, because the media is not only responsible to the society, they are responsible to the stakeholder. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So the media must also be responsible to the advertisers. So you can see this, all right? So traditional theory is that media must be responsible to the public. So whatever decision, kind of content they want to make, they must think about the society. But dual tier responsibility model says, okay, when media creates a decision, we must accept that they have fiscal and social responsibilities. Fiscal means what? Money. Profitability. Okay, you cannot expect media to only show what we call it ethical infotainment, information only. Okay, that the media is also responsible to make money. So that's why editorial decisions must be balanced. Not just only good, positive things for society. It must also produce content and product that will attract advertisers. Okay? Can understand? All right. Can follow or not? All right. So we've discussed libertarian, okay, we've discussed social responsibility, dual responsibility. So all of these are considered Western concept. Okay, these are the ideas that are followed by the Westerners. Okay. But obviously, okay, we live in a world of different societies, different political, cultural conditions. We cannot all follow the Western concept. Isn't it, right? Okay. So some people argue, okay, we always look at the Western countries as if they have the best rules. Okay. Okay, so as if the Western countries have the best system. But this is not the truth, because different countries, different societies have different contexts. Okay? Like our part of the world, for example, Malaysia, Indonesia, okay, and even China, we cannot have a system that is too open. Okay? Because we have different culture. Okay, and different moral values. What is okay in the West is not necessarily okay with us. Okay, we don't agree with the Western idea of everything is okay. Okay, so there is another normative theory called development concept. So this normative theory describes systems in which government and media work in concert to ensure that the media aid the planned beneficial development of a given nation. Okay. You must remember, right, the Western countries, they have been free so much earlier than us. Okay. Most of our countries, we only got our independence in the 50s, in the 60s. Okay. So we need time to develop, not like the US where they were already developed. So how can you develop a country? So the media plays an important role. But the media cannot be given freedom, okay? Because the particular country have their own sets of conditions, okay? So that is why we cannot be like in the US or in the UK where there is no government control. In our part of the world, the government and the media must work together. Not government control the media, but government and media work together. They need to work together so that they can develop, okay, the nation, the country. Okay, so I give you an example, for example, okay, I give you an example, for example, all right, Malaysia, all right, so Malaysia got its independence in 1957. Okay, at that time you have the Malays. They are the, what we call it, the aborigines lah, okay, the Bumi Putra, the first one to come here, to stay here. And then you have a group of Chinese, and then you have a group of Indians in Malaysia, right? So can you imagine a country, okay, of 3 different ethnic groups, okay? How can we make them stay together and learn to become a nation? So the media must make sure that these groups, the Malay, Chinese and Indian, can learn from each other and can learn to love one another. Right? In the 60s and 70s, okay, the government made it a rule, okay, that local media content must be in Bahasa. I think this is the same as Indonesia as well. Okay, I think Indonesia have been able to do it better than us in terms of Bahasa. All right, where they enforce, okay, to counter the threats of Western influence, local media must be in their own native language. Why? To protect the native and the local culture. Can you follow what I'm saying or not? All right, in the old days in Malaysia, if you watch a local program, they will always have 3 characters. The Malay character, the Chinese character, and the Indian character. Can you follow? Why? Because they want to show that this society is multiracial. This is the development concept. The government tells the media, okay, this is how we have to do it. Okay. So in the 80s in Malaysia, again, for example, every day we will listen to patriotic songs. Patriotic songs are what? Songs that develop the feeling of love for our country. So this is not propaganda. This is development of nationhood. Okay. Can you understand the development concept? Okay. So maybe in Indonesia as well, they will use Bahasa Indonesia Okay, they will focus on news that shows the the strength of the nation. They will not criticize the government. Why? Okay, they will not criticize the government so that they can create some kind of balance. Okay, that the people do not start to question and start to go against the government. Right? Imagine, right, in the early years, we just got our independence. If people start to argue with their government in the early years, how to develop? Because there will be no political stability. So this is the reason from development concept. Of course, all right, some governments has misused this idea and they have controlled the media. But that is another case because we're talking about ideal. All right. So ideally, okay, development concept allows the government and the media to work together. That's why we have government controlled media such as RTM. Okay, Radio Television Malaysia. I'm not sure in Indonesia you have Indo IRCT. You know of the government-owned media in the Indonesia? Anyone from Indonesia? Yeah, suddenly everyone from Indonesia don't know because they're all watching Netflix. Okay, but yes, we all have our own public TV and radio. Okay, and in certain countries, the media can play a revolutionary role. Okay, a normative theory ascribing a system in which media are used in the service of revolution. What is revolution? Revolution is abrupt change. Okay, to force change. Development is slowly progress. Okay. So you've seen this. Okay, sometimes media has been used in times of revolution, like the Iranian Revolution or recently the Arab Spring. Okay, media has been used for forcing changes. Okay, and again, this is normative, ideal. The media should help people change. Okay. And then the other normative theories are like authoritarian concept. Okay, so authoritarian concept is where there is a complete domination of media by a government for the purpose of forcing those media to serve the government. Can you see the difference between authoritarian and development? Okay, so authoritarian theory is actually the first theory of media. This is the first type of media relationship that was established in the world. Why? Because in the old days, the media is very little and the government has full control. Right? So the authoritarian concept was the concept used by the Americans in the early years when they were under the British. Because the British controlled them, remember? They cannot produce any newspaper or magazines or anything without the approval of the British. So what? That is authoritarian. So we used to have a lot of that, especially in the Middle East country, okay, maybe in Saudi, in the old days, but things have changed definitely. All right? Authoritarian. Probably now North Korea. Okay? North Korea or countries like Tajikistan, where the government has a very strong hold over the people. They cannot get any news other than the news that are coming from the government. So, authoritarian concept. So, we also have communism. Okay, another concept. A normative theory advocating the complete domination of media by the communist government. Now, the communist concept probably is not so available now. It is just like an authoritarian concept. It's just that under communism, instead of governments who political power that control the media, it is the communist party. Can you see the difference or not? Here, the media serves the government. Here, the media serves the communist Communist Party. Okay, so they will try to influence everyone to support the communist ideology. This is probably, alright, China before the 1990s. Okay, old China, no longer here. Alright, maybe China here developmental nowadays. Okay, or countries like in USSR. Okay, you have Soviet Union, where the media will only cover stories about communism. It is still authoritarian in terms that it is controlled, okay, but the ideology is different. Okay, and lastly, you have transitional media approach. Some people argue, okay, you cannot put everybody in a particular strict category. Sometimes, okay, we are authoritarian, but sometimes we are developmental. We follow the changes in time. Okay. For example, most of the world today cannot be considered authoritarian because we have social media, internet, okay, that the government cannot control. Okay. Right. So some argue, okay, that all of us are actually under what we call as transitional media approach, a less category-based, more flexible approach to evaluating media systems than traditional normative theory. All of these just now that I mentioned, authoritarian, communism, developmental, are all traditional. Traditional in the sense, okay, that we look at the media in very narrow way. Either it's very much freedom like libertarian or very close like authoritarian. And then we try to find the middle path like social responsibility and developmental. Okay, but this theory says, okay, actually we are all always changing. Okay, like we can say, for example, the media system in China right now. How do we categorize it? Okay, it is still under the government control, very controlled, but at the same time, they are very developed. Okay, China has one of the best media system in the world. All right, but they still cannot question their government. So where do we put them in these normative theories? Can you follow what I'm saying? All right, so they are not really communism, not really authoritarian, but not really libertarian also. Okay, so maybe they are in this process of transition. All right, can follow everyone? All right, so I think I will stop here. Any questions? Okay, I hope you understand. All right, actually normative theory is very simple. You just have to remember all these different types of categories, but all of them just try to tell you what is the relationship, okay, and between media industry and society. Can you follow? They talk about the ideal way, right? Some people think the ideal way is government must control. Yeah, we cannot argue that government control is important. But there are others who believe, like libertarian, okay, that the government should not control the media. All right, so maybe you can start to think about, okay, your own country, okay, which media system do they, follow? Of course, today we can say most of the countries are in transition. Right, you can see in Saudi now, right? Okay, they used to have very control. Okay, they don't have entertainment channels. Okay, their television and radio stations only play Islamic content. But what happens was that suddenly satellite TV came. And then the Saudi people were exposed to Western content. And to avoid the influence of Western content, then the Saudi government started to loosen up their own media laws and regulations. So they are still they're starting to allow entertainment. Like recently, right, they had a big concert in Riyadh. Okay, but they are free in terms of that. They get that media freedom in terms of entertainment, but still no freedom in terms of political comment. Newspapers still cannot complain or cannot say negative things about their government. So they are not libertarian, not authoritarian. You get to see, you follow what I'm saying? All right, so just say if this kind of question comes out for your final exam, you must be able to explain. All right, you can tell me that Saudi is authoritarian. You can tell me that it is transitional. It depends on how you explain. Okay, can you follow? But of course, you cannot tell me Saudi is libertarian. Okay, because it doesn't work that. Right? Follow? Okay, any questions? All right. So if there is no question, thank you. I will see you next week. Just prepare for your quiz. Remember, it will cover until today's topic, normative theory. Right? Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Okay. So we
Thank you, madam.
okay.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Madam.
Thank you, madam.
Madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Doctor.